Welcome to the Small Town Big Dreams podcast. My name is Becky Waples, and this is the podcast that celebrates small town creators and shares their stories. A creator to me could be an entrepreneur, someone with a side hustle, a person with a passion project, even a social media guru, or anybody else who has taken their goal and is crushing it. From their background to where they found the courage, from their challenges to their wins, to where they find inspiration and how they took their first step, I cannot wait to chat and laugh about anything and everything that comes with creating something from scratch. If you are inspired by small town creators who turn their big dreams into reality, then this is the podcast for you. Please subscribe to hear all upcoming podcasts, follow me on Instagram, and leave a review or comment so I know what you want to hear and what creators inspire you. Let's grow together. Hey, it's Becky. I just wanted to pop on quickly before my interview with Gathering Grays and Randy to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude for the support that everyone's shown this podcast. Everyone's enthusiasm and encouragement truly just mean the world to me. I'm not going to lie, I was expecting a few listeners, mostly family and friends, but the messages I've received and the people who have stopped me in person or online to tell me they listen and that they love it is just so overwhelming. Since I have your ear, I wanted to send a few specific thank yous. So thank you to Jack, my husband, who's wildly supportive. You are my best friend. So I hope I'm making you as happy as you make me. Thank you to my boys, Ollie and Carter. They don't really know what's going on. I think they think that maybe I'm a wildly successful, famous podcaster, but they are pretty cute about it. And they really do, like while we're driving, they're like, Mom, can we listen to your podcast? So thanks, boys, for letting me take the time to do this, because some nights I don't get in until after your bedtime, or sometimes I have to leave halfway through bedtime, or sometimes I'm not here for dinner. So I love you. I hope I'm making you proud. A big thank you to my dad specifically. My dad actually was able to buy me the new equipment that I needed to replace my mic setup, the one I'm using right now. And that's a really huge deal. So thank you, Dad. I thought I was going to be stunted a little bit, but you allowed me to carry on. And so thank you for helping me create something that I'm really having fun with and that I think is pretty wonderful. Another thank you to my family and friends. Your support's wild. It's wild. On any of my guests that have said they want to be in my podcast, that blows my mind. I cannot believe that when I ask if you want to be interviewed, you actually say yes. I think every time I've asked anyone, I'm like cushioning for the blow of them to be like, no, that sounds really silly, but you always say yes. And so, thank you. Every episode and every guest that I've interviewed so far, I get high from it. I literally leave the interview beaming. I say buzzing constantly because I get a buzz from these interviews. I've spent a ton of hours working on this podcast. I've loved every single minute, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. Another thank you to anyone who's left a review or a rating. If you've shared a story, especially if you've told somebody, a friend or someone to listen. If you message me to ask how they can help, or if you message me to say, suggest someone to interview, people are even helping me get in contact with guests. I'm blown away. Oh, and I put in here, if you've accidentally fallen asleep while it was playing, so you got to listen to it again when you woke up and you got to pad my stats, thank you. I cannot believe that I'm fortunate enough to have friends, families, and listeners invested in this project enough to invest their time and energy in helping me make it great. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to the listeners and guests who have become friends. And I think this is my favorite part because at the beginning, I thought I would just interview a few friends and I didn't realize that I was going to be making friends in the process. So this is fun and I want to send them a thank you. Lastly, I have a lot of interviews lined up for the next few weeks and I'm excited to share them with you. So please continue to stay on our journey. Also, if you're enjoying the show, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps the podcast grow, it helps it reach a bigger audience, and hopefully get us some pretty cool guests. Oh, and I put in here, let's stay connected. So follow me on Instagram or Facebook. My details are in my show notes. In December, I'm going to be doing some Christmas giveaways that I've organized with some of my past guests, some of my future guests, and you're able to get involved on those. I also post upcoming episodes. I post behind the scenes stuff. I post more fun. And so this episode that you're going to listen to now and the one I did next week, I posted in my Instagram stories if anyone had any listener questions. And I got quite a few. And it's becoming my favorite part of the interview is like the listener questions portion. So if you follow me on Instagram, you actually will be able to become a part of that and possibly have your questions asked in the episode. It's also, by adding me to Facebook or Instagram, you're also able to drop a comment or send a message. And finally, a few people have asked how they can show their support. So I set up an account on Buy Me a Coffee. It's in the show notes. It's just a platform where you can show your appreciation by buying me a virtual coffee. But I am not expecting anything. Of course, just by listening, sharing, engaging is already more than enough. And so I just wanted to send this quick message to say I appreciate all of you. Thanks for being such an awesome part of this podcast and a part of my journey and a part of these creators' journeys. So let's get to the good stuff.
Okay, Randy, hi. Welcome to the Small Towns, Big Dreams podcast. I know you just got here and we've already talked a lot. I was like, save it for the podcast, save it for the podcast. But this is also the first time we've met.
Yes.
I feel like I've known you forever because COVID brought a lot of like virtual friendships.
Yes, yeah.
And I've always been a fan of your Instagram, huge fan of your Instagram.
Thank you.
And your boards. My sister's a huge fan of your boards too. And so when I started the podcast, you were one of the first people I reached out to because I've always been inspired by what you're doing. And you were very supportive. So I thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. It's funny because I looked up tips for going on a podcast and it was like, don't do gestures, like don't nod, like speak. And I'm sitting here nodding right off the hop. So yeah, but yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. My husband mentioned last night that we should do a video because it's really good for Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, people don't need to see what I look like yet.
Yeah, I agree. I'm good with this to start.
I think we should just get into it.
Perfect.
Oh, because I don't think I've announced what you do yet. I think I've mentioned boards, but I haven't mentioned your company. So can you tell us what you do?
Yeah, so Gather and Graze, it's a cheese and charcuterie company. I do individual boards, boxes, cups, and then I can cater large events. I've done tables up to 250 people, and I do really love the tables. The tables are, like, they're my bread and butter. They're the most fun for me. They're the easiest too because it's like you prep and then you go and you set up, and that's where I get to be a little bit more artistic with it, which is what I like.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
When and how did you get started?
So I actually had to text somebody yesterday and ask. Yeah. So back when Bob and I first moved in together, I think it was the Milkmaid opened up in Owen Sound and we were like, let's go buy some good cheese and we're going to get some stuff. And so we made a few boards at home, and looking back, they are just awful. But I was making them and I posted them. And then one of our friends sent that picture to her mom. It was like, or vice versa. And they were like, why don't we do this for our wedding cocktail hour? Do you think Randy would do it? So then I said, yeah, like I'll give this a go. And at the time, so this was like 8 years ago now, I think. At the time, grazing tables were huge in Australia. So there wasn't much going on over here, but I was able to Google them and find like inspiration.
Right.
So the first big one I ever did and sold was like, I think it was like 12 feet long, and it was for 150 people.
Holy smokes.
And so I did that with the help of my mom and Bob, my husband.
Yeah.
And so it worked. And then from there, I just posted on Facebook and said, hey, I just did this. If anybody else wants to book me for a wedding, let me know. And then from there, Gather and Graze was born, I guess.
Yeah. I think I've lurked your Instagram enough to know that you did a cupcake thing before.
Yeah. So prior to that, I think I've always just wanted a hobby, but then I've always wanted to monetize a hobby. So like if you can find something that you love, try to figure out how to make money doing it.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do a side hustle, don't do something that you just feel like you need to buy into like a multi-level marketing scheme. Right. Just do something that you love and then figure out how you can make money doing that, because then it's just a win-win. And so I've never been bored with Gather and Graze because it's just fun for me.
Right.
I'm just a hungry girl that likes pretty food.
I'm a hungry girl that likes pretty food. That's why we get along.
Yeah. But yeah, so I did cupcakes for a while, and I used to sell like 200, 250 for weddings, like,
Wow.
and that was just doing them out of my parents' kitchen. So like, thanks to them for not caring about the disaster that I would leave their kitchen in.
My next question was going to be, have you always wanted to create something or be an entrepreneur? And you kind of answered that.
Yeah, well, so growing up, my dad, he was a contractor, so he built houses, and so that was Sickle Contracting in Hanover. And then my mom owned Temptations in Hanover, so she had Temptations Gifts and Home Decor and Bridal Temptations. So she had the bridal store, and I worked there for a while. And yeah, I think it's always been in our family. Like, my grandparents were self-employed also, and my sister's a dog groomer. So then it was like, I always knew that it was there, but then I also like the consistency of a full-time steady paycheck because cheese, meat, food, it does have its ebbs and flows.
Right.
Like, you have your highs and lows with when the orders come in. So.
Yeah, I think that when you know an entrepreneur, you're more likely to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Which is a big reason why I wanted to do the podcast, because I want it to seem like everyday people are everyday people are being entrepreneurs. But I didn't growing up. Like, my parents were teachers, like full-time jobs.
Right.
You have to have like a full-time go to school type job.
Yeah.
And now my opinion has changed completely because of meeting entrepreneurs and being so inspired by people that start their side hustles or hobbies. I really like what you said earlier, which was make money off your hobby.
Yeah.
I know, because when you got here, you're like, how can you make money off the podcast? I'm like, I'm thinking this.
I know. I'm like, I want you to make money.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to ask, what's your full-time job?
Oh, so my full-time job it's changed in the last little bit, but I work full-time for the Y at the Health, Fitness, and Aquatic Center in Owen Sound. I was the aquatic supervisor for a few years, and then recently I switched over to be the supervisor of membership sales and service. So I am behind the front desk with my team, and we do all the membership sales and like the subsidies and just helping anybody come into the Y that wants to work out or do swimming lessons or anything.
Very cool. Would you ever want to make Gather and Graze a full-time job?
Yeah, so we have talked, like Bob and I have talked a lot about like opening a store or going more full-time with it. But right now we see the benefit of the girls being at daycare and obviously Bryn's going to stay in school, but it's expensive. Bob's a financial advisor, so it's like
so he's like, I'm advising that.
So
maybe.
we're looking at it from a realistic standpoint of maybe in a few years when we know that we don't have to pay for all of that stuff all the time. And then also it's a lot of time away. So like I said, with my parents owning businesses growing up, we spent a lot of time with my grandma, which was great. But I don't necessarily want that for my girls. And I know that unless I could train somebody to do the trays and the tables exactly how I do them, I would have to be the one doing it.
Right.
So, and it's not to say people couldn't do it. It's just right now that's the service that I want to provide is the service that I provide. Yeah.
Right. I think you probably posted this too, but in Nashville, they have stores where you can go in and pick your meat and your cheese and they build a board in front of you. Right?
Yeah. So I've shown that to Bob several times, and there's a girl in Quebec that does it too. And yeah, it's like Subway style meat and cheese boards. And then I saw recently a girl in Okanagan out in BC. She did one that was super cool. So it was just all on ice in trays. And like, so you could hire me for a party to come and I would be able to build a board on site. So I might have 10 different types of cheese and 10 different types of charcuterie, but you pick 3 and 3. And then I'll put them together, build it for you right on site, right in front of you, and hand it to you and away you go.
Right.
Which I think is a really cool offering. And that's something that I want to get into this holiday season.
That is a very cool offering. It does seem like even if it was Subway style, if you had a line up at the door, like it feels like it takes longer than building this up.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it's like, it wouldn't, because everything would be pre-cut.
Right.
So it's just placing it. And that's where, like, in my head, I just know.
Right. Well, you've done it for so long.
Yeah. So I joke and say, like, there's girl math, but then there's Graze math. Like, I can look at a table and I know exactly what I need going into a store to build that table, but I can't tell you. Like,
yeah.
Like, I have to see it. And then.
Well, I was going to say, I'm always inspired by your boards. I'm like, I'm going to make a great board. I'm going to post it. People are going to be like, wow, that's a great board. And then it doesn't even come close. It doesn't even come close. I can't decide if I'm buying too much meat, am I buying too much cheese, am I not have got enough color?
Yeah.
But it's an art.
Well, thank
Artwork. Yeah. I also was thinking about this last night. It says you have to spend 100 hours doing something to be an expert. And I've spent like maybe 3 hours. Like how many hours do you think you've spent?
Oh,
making
like
these boards?
countless. Like when I first started, it would take me like 4 or 5 hours to prep for a table and then setting it up. I've probably done like 50, 60 tables by now.
That's crazy.
And then a couple summers ago, I partnered with the picnic business in Sauble Beach.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And so I think we did like 300 picnics in that one summer while I was working full time. So I was getting up at 5 a.m. and
pregnant.
Yes. And and I have not had easy pregnancies. Like I was sick for both of them. But yeah, like I was getting up at 5 a.m. to put all these trays together, and then I would drop the trays off, drop it off at daycare, and then head to work. And it was just what I did to make it work.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel annoying. It didn't feel like a burden or like it was a hassle to do it. I wanted to do it.
That's like the dream.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's just so nice to see people enjoying something that you put together. And like, I do love cooking too. So and like I posted this morning, like I will eat fried bologna, but I can also make a really good braised short rib.
Yeah.
Like
squash for
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I was gonna say, your partnership.
I have done giveaways with a bunch of different cottages, and like there was one in Oliphant. There's one, and Once Upon a Stay. And then I'm working with another condo in Blue Mountain this weekend. And it's just one of those things where like I have worked really hard to get my Instagram to where it is. And I've kind of hit a plateau with it, but I'm still gaining new followers and I have a lot of engagement on it. And so if somebody pops up that is doing something that I like, I'll reach out to them and I will help leverage my social media to help them. Like I figure, why not?
Why not? You do have a really good Instagram following. Yeah. And that was another thing I was going to ask. So not only were you working full time, making your boards, 300 for just one of your partners.
Yeah, that was just one.
That doesn't even include like you were doing them like August long weekend.
Yeah, and like weddings and stuff too.
And tables.
Yeah.
And then your Instagram is so good too.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just because I just post what I want to. I don't put that much thought into it. I do have my scheduled posts. Like if I do 10 trays on a weekend and I take 5 pictures of those trays, I'll schedule some posts with those. So I could be sitting at work on Wednesday at 9 a.m. and a post would go up.
Right.
And like I've been in meetings and I will post, but then I didn't actually have to do it. So I've had to explain that to my bosses and say like, these are pre-scheduled. I'm not doing this from work. And they're very understanding of that. That's been a really nice part with how supportive they have been. And even through a change in leadership there, the new ones are supportive also.
And that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm working on scheduled posts right now. Like that's my next goal.
Yeah.
One of my questions was going to be like your Instagram. Like I find it takes so much extra time.
Yeah. So I use shortcuts on my keyboard for hashtags too.
Okay.
So when I go to hashtag something, I don't know, let's say I have 20 hashtags there. I only have to type in 3 words to get those hashtags.
Oh, okay.
And so that makes it a lot easier for me. And then sometimes I put in my caption, I'll just put a little bit of something about what we did that day. And those get a good response. Or if I ask a question, sometimes I get a response. And then other times I legit just don't care. And I'm like, cheese here.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing over and over, but that's what I'm selling.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. Have you faced any challenges since you've started?
I think the biggest thing is Sauble is obviously a little bit remote in the off season and shipping is really hard. Yeah. Like the biggest challenge is how far we are from a Costco. People don't realize that. And then how far we are from just like being able to get wholesale orders in.
Right.
So
do you get wholesale orders in?
So I have videos of Bryn when she was like 2 years old picking up full wheels of cheese and it was great. But now it costs me more in shipping to get those wheels of cheese than the wheels are worth.
Right.
And so Walmart has been my best friend. Like they actually are so inexpensive for good cheese, which I think is surprising to people. They don't think that they can get it there, but like the Bella Vitano that you're getting from any of the local like artisan stores, it's the same stuff there.
Yeah.
It's just already sliced.
Oh, okay.
In a wedge.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
slice.
Yeah.
No, I love going to Walmart. I remember Boursin was on sale, so I sent you a quick text like, yeah, you needed to get in on that. And I do the same thing. If Boursin's on sale, because it's expensive now.
Yes, it is.
That's a good question. How have you found the inflation?
I've just had to raise my costs to accommodate. This Hour Has 22 Minutes just put out a funny video about the cost of charcuterie where the girl is basically having a panic attack at the till because she's like, why? And I posted it because I was like, this is perfect because people look and they're like $100. And it's like, well, that one little wedge costs $9.44. And that doesn't include my time to get it, the tax cost, like gas, like, and then from there, I'm also, and I call it like processing everything. So I'm taking that home, I'm opening it, I'm slicing it, I'm placing it. And even the board that I'm putting it on is like $8 to start. So one piece of cheese and the board, and I'm already over $20 in cost.
I am never shocked by your prices because when I go to buy my own, I'm shocked by how expensive it costs me. And then I know that my board's not even like half as pretty as yours. I also know that yours has a lot more selection because I'm guessing you buy like a big bunch of prosciutto and you put a little bit on, whereas I buy the prosciutto.
Yeah.
I have to put it all on, or I buy the salami.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've joked about it and I said, like, charcuterie is personal. Like, it really is. Like, you might love blue and goat cheese and whatever, and then that might not be what the next person likes. So it's nice to have a little bit of a mix on there so everybody has something that they can dip into.
Right.
Yeah.
I also, and I'm sure everyone would agree, when you bring your board to the party, it like the crowd attacks it.
Yeah.
So it's a really good centerpiece for everybody to come around like and talk to everyone at the party. Everyone's like, whoa, what's in here? And everybody's excited.
Yes.
I think we counted once. What would you guess how much you put on it? Like everything that's different.
So with everything that's different, typically I do like 5 types of cheese, 3 types of charcuterie, and then I would have like 4 or 5 types of fruit, and then 1 or 2 vegetables, and then if the crackers are on the board, then 3 types of cracker. Like, and it's a lot. And so that's why, like, I actually, one thing that I've heard recently is I needed to charge $25 for gluten-free crackers, but like I was putting 3 types of gluten-free crackers, plus those are way more. I'm not even profiting off of that. And I don't think people realize, like, it's just something that I do extra because I understand that it's not a choice.
Right.
So it's just something I do, which I maybe should, you know what I mean? But like $25 is a lot.
I also think, like, I don't know a ton about gluten-free crackers, but if you only have one person order that a week and then they go like,
exactly. That's the thing. So I basically need to like try to promote it and say, hey, I have a gluten-free board available, which I've done. And then I do really well with flash sales on my Instagram. And I say I have 2 available for this weekend. Like, they go pretty quick. So that's,
One time you were like, $6 for this board. And I was like, I'm going to message her and get it.
Yeah.
What would we use it for? And then like I went back and it was like gone. And I was like, too late. And then my sister
message me anytime.
You know, so my sister texted me, I just got a board from Gather Grace.
Oh,
so yeah, she was like, I was like, I almost got that. And there wasn't anything exciting going on. I think I was like, well, I'm coming over.
Yeah.
Like now we have to do.
Yeah, exactly. Just eat.
That was like, I don't know, a couple months ago, but that was funny. What do you think makes you unique or different?
I think like the fact that I love it, not to say that other people don't.
No.
But like I enjoy every part of it. Like I like finding the good boards to put them on. I like the good cheese. I like to find something that's new, and I like everything to look pretty. And then I also like sharing about it. Like there's days where I don't post. I mean, few. I do post a lot, but it's just organic. Like I just like to post what we're doing. And I know I need to post myself a little bit more. And it's kind of like I'm just posting Bob and the kids. But I mean, like, I'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just being more real with things and just upfront. So
yeah, I think you're very authentic too.
Yeah, I try to be, except for the fact that I don't show my own face.
I just kind of switched it up so that I'm posting people's faces when I post like that we're doing an episode. And then I went on your Instagram and I was like, she has 1 out of like 1,000.
And I did that photo shoot when I was like 3 weeks postpartum, and I'm like, why did I do that to myself? Like, why did I do that?
Yeah. See, I think I did a 6-week baby photo shoot, and like when I was getting ready, I was like, why did I agree to this?
Yeah.
So 3 weeks. Oh my god,
I know.
This episode is proudly brought to you by ClickCrafters Search Engine Marketing. Looking to take your digital marketing to the next level? Look no further. ClickCrafters is your dedicated partner for all things search. Need help with your Google ads or need someone to take over your Meta business ads? Contact clickcraftersSEM@gmail.com to supercharge your online marketing strategies. Small towns, big results.
What's been your biggest project?
So like the biggest projects that I've done have been the weddings, basically, like bigger tables. I have done days where I've had companies reach out and I would do like 12 boxes, like 12 large boxes for them that day, and then they deliver it to all of their sites kind of thing. And those are really fun to do, and those are on a bigger scale. I partnered with the Terra Splash Pad Committee, and I did like 250 boxes for their psychic event that they had, and that was really fun too. Like doing things like that are nice. I like the local partnerships too, just like when I was working with the picnic company and things like that. Like those really get your name out there.
Was the Terra Splash Pad like a fundraiser?
Yeah, it was a fundraiser for it. So you had to buy a ticket to go, and you got a charcuterie box, and then you got to be in the room for like one of those like group psychic readings where she walked around and did it. I didn't stay for the event, but yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I didn't put this in here, but a memory just popped up one day. You texted like, does anyone know, or you posted on your Instagram, does anybody know a nurse?
Yes.
I think you were giving away, it was a dessert thing.
Yes. I dabble in like baking, cooking, whatever. So I made a bunch of hand pies one day and I delivered them to Bryn's daycare teachers. But then we had just had Brooke, and I was like, does anybody know? Oh, it was National Nurses Day, I think.
Oh, okay.
And I just asked for people to like suggest who. And then I had a bunch of people say the labor and delivery floor, A&O Sound. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I didn't message anybody. I just removed the post so nobody else suggested anybody. And I delivered to them. And one of the nurses messaged me and said that it was like the highlight of their day. And I like teared up walking in to give it to them because I was like, I was just here.
Yeah, my sister is a labor and delivery nurse. So I would have said
nice. Yeah.
And I remember being like, well, I was probably very conceited because I was like, I'm the reason why that showed up.
Yeah.
So I was like,
actually, it might have been you. Yeah. And then I was just like, okay.
Yeah. But I that's very cool. Are there other ways that you give back to the community?
I do a lot of donations for giveaways and stuff. Typically just gift cards because of the nature of the product.
Yeah.
It's like I could give away a charcuterie board that night, and then they either have to eat it that night or the next day, or so. I do like to give gift cards for things like that. Like I've donated one to a hospital foundation in Hanover, and then one coming up for the Santa's breakfast at the girls' daycare in Sauble. So yeah,
very cool. Do you ever make other boards? Like, do other people request, I'd like you to make me a breakfast board?
Yeah, so I have done brunch boards, and my most popular ones, I think it was 2 summers ago, was I was getting bagels from Lindsay at the Southampton Bagel Company, and I mean, they're so good.
I need to.
And so I was doing bagel spreads with fruit and vegetables and then her cream cheese. And I had, so like, Sauble does have quite a few little Airbnbs, and it's becoming more of like a bachelorette hotspot.
Yeah.
There are some good spots there in the summer that you can like bar crawl. So a couple of them ordered, the brunch trays from me so that they had those when they woke up, and they said that they were awesome. So yeah, those are, but it's hard too, because it's one of those things that like I can't, and like I know I don't make the cheese, but the cheese sits in the fridge and I use it. But with baked goods, I don't have that stuff on hand. I have to go and source it out. So it's just a little bit more, I would have to do them more frequently to offer them all the time.
Okay, we kind of talked about wholesale shipping, but how often do you go shipping for meat and cheese?
So I love the grocery store.
Yeah. you do post a lot about the grocery store.
Yeah, like I love a deal to the point where like if like I have the Flip app, and
same.
So I will be on that tonight, and I will be scouting out where I need to go tomorrow to get all the deals. So, and like I know what salami is a good salami and what price is too much, and I won't even pay 25 cents more than what I need to pay for it. Like I make sure that I'm getting the deal to get it, and so it just depends. Typically, I'm at the grocery store like 3 or 4 times a week, and Brooklyn loves it. So I mean, I'm happy that I have a little sidekick right now that likes touring around the grocery store. So that part's nice. I have a few spots that I know that I have to get certain things, and there's the wholesale store downtown Owen Sound, which I get a lot of stuff there too, which is nice that we have one of those. I only get to Costco like every 3 months, which I wish I could go a lot more. It's just hard when it's 2 hours away.
Yeah. I tried to make a little charcuterie board for our Collingwood weekend. No, we were going away for Collingwood, so I was like, I'm going to find a place that I can pick up on the way there.
Yeah.
Only because I feel like I don't know how I wouldn't be able to refrigerate your board all the way to Collingwood.
Oh, no.
I probably would have had to pick it up in the afternoon, and then and even my sister ordered a charcuterie board from you once, and she was like, I can't even remember what she did, but she had to figure out a way to keep it cold so she got somewhere.
Yeah.
But I didn't find anything in Collingwood, or they weren't ready. So then I did the same thing. I went on the Flip app, and it was like a Tuesday. So I looked to see what the deals were.
Yeah.
And then I went and bought those deals. And then I waited till see what was on Thursday. And I bought those deals.
Yeah.
I ended up buying way too much because I was just like,
you will.
got excited. But
it's funny, like you can go and you can buy 5 different types of cheese, but that is going to make like 2 or 3 boards. Really.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. That's why I like buying the boards.
Yeah.
Because you spend, let's just say $30 on 3 types of cheese, and you put them on 3 boards, where I spent $30 on 3 types of cheese on 1 board.
And they sit in your fridge then afterwards, and it's, yeah.
Can you share tips on how to make a good board?
It's funny. I don't know. Like the latest trend, I think, is a lot of people love the, like, I mean, it's always been a thing, but like dips and jams and honey. And I just find they're a little bit harder to source good ones that aren't going to cost a ton. Like you'll see in the States, a lot of charcuterie girls, they'll post like they have the little jars of like the jams and whatever, but they cost them $2 down there. And up here, for me to get that, it's like $6.99. So it's just like, I want to, and I love it, but I just can't make people pay for it because I can't just do it for free either. So
then you have to buy special containers because you would need to put a lid on.
Yeah, exactly. And like the honeycomb, like I love a honeycomb on there. Like Bob and I, when we went on our honeymoon, we went to Greece. Every restaurant in Greece for breakfast had a honeycomb that you could just cut a piece off of, enjoy it with your breakfast. And it was so good. And so then I was like, okay, I have to have a honeycomb on everything, but it's just not feasible.
I think we've had a board with honeycomb on it.
Yeah. I went through a phase.
Yeah. Oh, I remember messaging you once. This was probably a year ago. And I was like, hey, can you tell us what is a good combination? Because you have all those crackers, you have all those meats, you have all those cheeses, and I'm kind of building my own. But it would be kind of cool if you're like, okay, I put this one on here for this one.
Yeah. So it's funny because, like I said, it is personal. Like everybody has their own like flavors that they love. And I have a few types that I love to put on. There's a Castello tickler. And it's yes, and it's got, people think it's weird, but it's like a caramel crunch is what the like subtle notes are in it. And I love that with just a garlic cracker. But Bob loves it with the garlic parmesan crisp from PC. And both are really good, but that's what, like, he goes for that and that together, and like that's his favorite bite. But I love that cheese with a different cracker and maybe a little bit of salami.
Yeah.
So, and then I do love a blackberry jam with brie. And then, again, the crackers, whichever one you want it to be with. Yeah. But, like, I would, again, go for a garlic cracker just because I like that undertone.
Yeah. See, you're the expert. But I do love I think last time we got it, I kept saying, look how this brie and blackberry jam is so good.
Yeah.
And when you say garlic parmesan crisp, do you mean like the pita cracker?
Yes.
Because I'm obsessed with
They're so good.
good.
Like, I don't know how President's Choice doesn't sponsor me because I buy all of their products. I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate that their bacon costs $20 in salt, but I love everything else. And it's just like, honestly, you could do a fantastic board with all PC products. And it is expensive. I'm not going to lie. Like, but at least like, I'm using the good stuff because I've tried it all.
Yeah.
That's the one thing.
And the pita crackers are always on 2 for $6. Well, you got to get 2 bags. And I thought it was, I remember that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm always getting this great deal.
Yeah.
And I realized it's just a thing. But
yeah.
And then I also like the PC Black Label, like cranberry crackers.
Yes.
Really.
So they just came out with mini crisps and they're in a bag and they're so good. So it's like the same crisp. They're just like half the size.
I need those. Yeah, I don't even. I don't eat nuts. I never eat nuts. And people are like, "There's nuts in those. There's walnuts in those crackers." I'm like, I don't care about the walnuts in these crackers. They're way too good.
So good.
Oh, and I was also gonna say I made a pizza dip once, and I used those garlic parmesan crackers, and I don't even think the pizza dip was that good. I think the cracker.
Yeah.
I get the.
Pizza dip is just a staple. It's so good.
But I'm a firm believer that you can't eat the dip unless you have those garlic parm crackers.
Yeah.
Now.
See, growing up, my mom used to make that dip and we ate it with Ritz crackers.
Yeah.
So good. But like, I mean, we can step it up now.
We're at. Yeah. Okay. Do you ever suggest drink suggestions with your boards?
So I've done like workshops where people have asked, and I will say that like it depends on the type of wine you like to what. So like if you like a sweeter wine, like go for a Riesling with like the white hard cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's, again, to each person their own. But Brie is really nice with a crisp white wine that's maybe not as sweet, or a red wine that's a little bit drier. Like it's one of those things that I could do a whole thing, but I then have people that are like, why don't you just sell the wine too? And it's like, well, I don't have a license for that. And I do see companies that do it, but they're much bigger scale. Like they're doing wine or champagne in their boxes. And Bob loves like the beer cheese with like a stout. Like one of those things. Yeah, like you can do so many different things. Mm-hmm. And I have thought about trying to offer a digital product where I could sell for $25. You get like a list of all the ingredients, all of the pairings, and a video on how to put it all together. I just need to get there.
Well, yeah, you're very busy.
That's a goal. That is a goal coming up of what I would like to do.
Very cool. I remember, and I was like fresh into drinking 19 or something, and we did a winery tasting. And I remember thinking like, well, of course apples are going to taste good with white wine, and they were horrible. Yeah. And the goat cheese was delicious. And so yeah, maybe even like classes. I've always thought like I want to invite all my friends over and do a wine tasting and tell me what to pair them with.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't ever want to sell someone short and not be able to offer a good product. Mm-hmm. But there is a girl, she's down south of Kincardine. It's Diboja Grays is what she's called. And she does she does like wine pairing classes. So she comes and she sets it up and she brings all the wine, all the food. And I've talked to her on Instagram, and she seems fantastic, and she gets a lot of bookings, and everything always looks so pretty. Yeah. And I think she does a really good job. So like,
I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. If there was like a winery you could do a partnership with too. Because it is weird. It does seem weird to me that someone would ask you to sell the wine.
Well, yeah. And it's like they just want it to be a one-stop shop. And I think maybe more out in Sauble. That's a thing because, there are a lot of opportunities for partnerships, but it's so hard when we are in Sauble. Like I've had people ask if I would deliver to Meaford, and I'm like, that's like, yes, I could, but it's 2 hours of time for me to drive over there.
And gas.
And like then someone to watch the girls, or I have the girls in the car for that long. And it's just like I don't need to.
No.
So it's,
when I interviewed Crest and Crackle, they said the same thing, that Sauble's just not the perfect location.
It's not. And like, obviously, if we were to open a storefront, it probably wouldn't be in Sauble. And if it were, it would obviously be so seasonal.
Wow.
And if they had an opportunity to open something where you only had to pay rent for the season, sure, but everything's year round, so it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I was thinking like Port Elgin.
Yes, it probably would be.
Yeah, we're a little bit bougier.
Yeah, well, and since Bob's working over here now too, I've heard it's kind of nice, but yeah.
Oh, what exciting projects or goals do you have on the horizon?
Well, like I just mentioned, I do want to offer like a digital product where it's something that you can do it at home, and even that could be like a fun date night.
Yeah.
Like you guys could purchase it, you go and get all the stuff, you watch the video, and then you put it together and you have it to enjoy. I kind of got the idea because Bob had a company send him a thing through work, and they actually sent us like lobster tail and Wagyu steak and all of the ingredients to make like this incredible dinner. And we just followed along the video and we made it, and it was great and it was fun. Yeah. And I mean, we did it when Brooke was like a week old, and so we're just like cooking away with a newborn, but it was great. It was nice to do and actually have a good meal to enjoy together.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because I think the keg did that too during COVID.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I missed the boat on that. I should have done it during COVID, but like, I mean, why not? People are still enjoying things like that now.
No, I love that idea.
Yeah.
And so I have a book club, and we were getting these books from the library, and it just wasn't the best setup. And so we've decided to switch it up a little because we still like getting together once a month. And so now we're going to do events. And I was like, we should have you come in and teach us how to build a meat and cheese board.
Yeah, I totally offer workshops. I actually did a workshop in Hanover for a girls' book club. Last Christmas, I think. Yeah, and it went really well, and they're lots of fun. Like, I don't care if you guys talk the whole time. I'll still show you what to do.
Yeah, but maybe the host just feels like she got to do a little bit more because they watch your video. Yeah. She buys the meat and cheese. Yeah. I love that idea. Very cool. And then you could do it more than once too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or you can have you could do different types of boards too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like you could do like one that's like a more sweet board or a savory board or whatever, and change everything up that way.
Yeah. So even with my husband, I could say we're doing the Brooklyn board.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like for Father's Day, I did like Bob's board, Bruce's board, Big Bob's board.
No, I love that. Yeah, different sizes for, I love that. That's a great idea. Okay, so let's talk about Sauble Beach and like living in a small town. How you grew up in Hanover?
Yes, so in Hanover.
How do you find that living in like Grey Bruce or Hanover/Sauble contribute to your business?
I think it's funny because like in Hanover, it was definitely with my parents both owning businesses there, and I worked for the town growing up too. I was a lifeguard at the pool, and you just get to know everybody, so it helps. Sometimes it's a hindrance, but it helps. Like, gets your name out there. Like, everybody knows that like that's who you are and that's what you do. And then when I moved up to Owen Sound and like working at the Y, I had just been doing cupcakes at that point, and I was like, well, this is going to be a lot more people, but it was almost harder because you're just a small fish in a big pond. And then I had gotten things going, COVID hit, and then we were like, let's move out to Sauble. I thought moving out to Sauble, I wasn't going to be busy anymore at all. Mm-hmm. But people were still driving out to Sauble to get their boards, and I got busier. So it is seasonal, obviously, but then I go through waves where like September and October were very busy with weddings and Thanksgiving, and now I didn't book very many for November because of Bryn's birthday, and I wanted to like be able to devote my time to that. But then Christmas is going to be super busy, and then January is always busy too, and then you get into like Valentine's Day and whatever. So there's always something. There's always a reason for cheese.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, then there's family day.
Yeah, exactly.
You always need a cheese board when you get together with your family.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that you said, when you got to Owen Sound, you felt like you were in a, whatever you said, like it was harder.
Yeah, like small fish, big pond. Like there's everybody there knows the people that are established. So it's a little bit harder to get established when you don't have a storefront.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the way that you do your Instagram, again, is very authentic, that it feels like we know you. So when you went to Sauble Beach, we're like, oh, a Sauble Beach girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it feels like, well, you want to support a Sauble Beach girl.
Well, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
And I tried to change things up when I moved out there too. Like I changed my logo. I went a little bit more beachy with it. I mean, I put a wave in it. Like, but it's funny because like I've always loved the water. Like that's how I went to the Y first, was through lifeguarding and all of that. Like the water is just where I love to be. So like being at the beach just seemed perfect. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it all worked out. Like I always say, like, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. Like, who cares if it doesn't work out? You might be fine. Like and I mean, Instagram's a funny world. So everybody knows like the Birds Papaya.
Yeah.
So she was staying at the June. So, and we kind of have a friend in common. So that helped a little bit, but she got a board. She posted the board. She has 1 million or 2 million followers. She posted it and people are like, this is amazing. Like, she's sharing your board. And it was great. It was fantastic. I love it. But I got like 60 followers off of it.
Oh, okay.
It's not, you know what I mean? It's not one of those things where people are like, oh, I follow her, so I'm totally going to follow that cheese girl.
Yeah.
But
you did like little Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. So that goes with me being insane and not forgetting anything. And and so I was like, look, I know her kids are with her. I know that they love Disney. And I know Disney is big for hidden Mickeys. I am going to put hidden Mickey Mouses in this cheese board. And I didn't tell her. And so like if she found them, she found them. And she did. And that's, I think, why she posted it a little bit more, because it was more personal.
Right. Was the board, did you reach out to her and say, I want to offer this board to you?
Yeah.
And then with the understanding that she would post about it?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. I didn't know if she would. So I'm sure she gets paid thousands of dollars for posts. I didn't know what she would do, but I had to take a shot at it, right? Like I didn't expect her to pay me for something that she didn't ask for off the hop.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what happens. Like she was staying at the June, like Heydays is right there. And Heydays is amazing. Like she didn't have to, but she took it and she did. And she posted it several times.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And it was just like, it like gives you goosebumps every time you see something that you did look so good on someone else's page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you ever get like a high? Like you must have been like buzzing. Like,
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, I was. And I was like screenshotting it and I'm like such a loser, just like sending it to
No.
people, like, look at this.
When you said earlier that doing your boards you never get bored, that made me think like the podcast is the same thing. Like there are days when you're just kind of feeling low and you're like, I'm going to not do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then you do an interview like this and you're like buzzing. You're
Yeah.
like, I'm honestly like go inside to my husband. I'm like, I'm high right now. And then he's like, that's a sign that you're doing the right thing.
Exactly. You're doing what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to hate it. Like there's no point.
I asked you about how you found the community and we've discussed the collaborators. And I think you kind of touched base on it, but like the picnic, did you reach out to her? Did she reach out to you?
So that's actually like another story through the June. When the June came in, I had a girl contact me and she asked if she could order a tray and have it delivered there. So I delivered the tray and the girl who was working the front desk happened to be the one who was thinking of the picnic business. Oh, okay. And so when I walked it in, she said, do you have a business card? And of course I didn't.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm starting a picnic business and I need your trays at every picnic. And so that was just a coincidence. I just happened to be in the right place with the right person.
Right.
So, and she was new to Sauble Beach also.
It's all about timing.
Yeah,
Like if you're doing the right thing too, like timing will always work out.
exactly.
And I've been finding that a lot lately.
Yeah, like there's a lot of times where people are like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. And it's like, I understand that like you think that, but like I don't have the capacity for certain things right now. And when I do, the opportunity will come back.
Oh yeah.
Like that's just how it works.
Yeah. I remember you said one day that, you don't have to talk about this, but you remember you said that someone saw you in the drive-thru.
Oh, yes.
And they're
It's like one of the, it still irks me to this day.
it irks me.
Yeah. So and it was in Port Elgin. We had just moved to Sauble and I had said no to doing a Christmas event. And I forget where Bob was, maybe at hockey. I don't know. But I ran to get something in Port and Bryn was hungry. So I was like, let's get her some French fries and we'll head home. Well, this lady who I had said no to, she said that she saw me and she's like, clearly you didn't have much going on if I saw you and your daughter out. And I'm like, in what world does me being at McDonald's with my daughter make you think that I had time?
Yeah.
Like,
Like I couldn't make her lunch. I was buying her.
yeah. So it's just, one of those things I haven't had. And maybe I never named her.
No.
She still follows me. But maybe the point or the fact that I actually like said that was happening, that was like the start of me being fairly real on social media, and no one else has done anything quite that bad since they're like, I don't want her to talk about
No. I did. Like I said, that did irk me.
Yeah.
Also the fact that she's like, well, I think part of being in entrepreneurship is that you can prioritize different things.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you're saying like, no, I prioritized hanging out with my daughter.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you do what you want to do when you have time to do it. Yeah. And so like, if I can't do a wedding, it's because I can't do the wedding.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I don't want to. I probably do want to, but there might be a reason that I can't do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we looked into getting a grazing table for my little family reunion. Right?
Yeah.
And you had a girls' weekend, and I was like,
yeah,
honestly, I was like, that's crappy, but I didn't think like for Randy.
I know. And it's funny because like I actually like I feel guilty too when I have to say no. I mean, I know that that's one thing I need to get over is like not taking everything so personally. But yeah, when I can't do something, I feel like I've let them down.
Right. No. I would feel the same.
Yeah.
But only because we're just like nice people.
Yeah. It's funny. I do have a lot of people that they'll reach out like day of and be like, hey, could you do a tray for me for tonight?
Yeah.
I need it for like 40 people. And I'm like, oh, sorry. And I usually give a reason when I don't even need to give a reason.
No.
But sometimes the response is, that sucks. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, for me or you?
Yeah. That doesn't suck for me.
Yeah.
That was going to take up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say some specific challenges, and that would be a challenge, people knowing you out and about.
Yeah, it is a bit of a challenge. And like, But then it also has its benefits too. Like Bob and I have gotten invited to some cool things because of it.
Oh.
And like, I mean, I'm here because of it.
Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of talked. You've been really good with your business advice already, because I think you've mentioned like, just go for it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Like,
like
what have you
don't
lost?
sink a ton of money into it if you
Yeah.
think that like it's not going to work out, but take a step. Like try to set a few goals and like figure out what your first step is and then how you need to get there. Do those few things and then see where you're at. You might be further ahead than you think you're going to be.
Yeah. Do you believe in so me and my husband we're opposite on this way. So when I started the podcast, I said I don't want to buy anything fancy until I've done like 5 episodes. So
Yeah.
I must believe in like rewarding good
Yes,
work.
yeah.
And then he's like, no, buy it now so it'll encourage you to do 5
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah. So that's where like Bob and I would be similar, where he wouldn't want to start until he's got everything perfect.
Right.
Whereas I'd be like, well, I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants,
Yeah.
figure it out as I go. And then as it gets better, I'll give myself more,
Okay. Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah. Another thing I want to do is like update at like 10 episodes and be like, what I've noticed that entrepreneurs kind of like what their
Yeah.
mindset is. And so that's a big one. Like start before you're ready.
Yeah.
Just, like do it.
Exactly. Like, I mean, you can't fail if you haven't done it. So like, how do you know?
And then I think, yeah, people get in their head like, I don't want to fail. So if I don't even start, then I
Yeah.
can't fail.
And then you're just stuck. You're just in the same
Yeah.
spot. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when people tell me that I'm lucky. And it's
Oh.
like, yeah, like maybe, but I also put a lot of work into it.
Oh, I think you're a
Yeah, like
very
it's
hard worker.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where and like it's like you're so lucky that you get to go and do that. And it's like, yeah, I'm lucky that I love what I'm doing, but I also like worked my ass off to get to the point where I'm recognizable and I'm sought after.
Mhm.
It didn't just happen. Like I didn't, nobody taught me how to do it. Nobody came and said like, this is what you're going to do. Like I'm totally self-taught. Like it's funny. I was joking with somebody like, I am not a cheesemonger. I'm not like a sommelier. I'm not this person. Like I just needed an artistic outlet. And like I said, I'm hungry. I love food and I like to make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Like there's certain times where we'll sit down for dinner and Bob will be like, did you post that? And I'm like, no, I was too hungry. Like I just got into it. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like I don't always post, but I try to just because like that is how I get my followers in, like how I let them know what we're doing and stuff. Like
I love it. Like, I don't even think I would even try squash risotto.
yeah.
And then you both were like, well, when are we having that? When are
Yeah.
we trying that?
It's funny because it's not even something that I made up. Like we used to do those chef's plate.
Yeah.
And I kept all the recipe cards.
Okay.
And so that was one of them that we had like 5 or 6 years ago. And then when I saw that PC again came out with that risotto, I was like, I am doing this. And like, I love the Produce Club. I love the boxes that we get from them. Like they're so good. So that's another partnership that I have. Like our house is a pickup location for them. And like we do have quite a few people that come get their boxes. And I love everything that comes in them. Like I find that the produce lasts longer. And it's also making us try things that
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally go out and buy a butternut squash
Right.
or what was the one? It was a buttercup squash.
Oh.
So, and it's very similar, just different color, different shape. And the taste is the same, but yeah, like we're just trying all these different foods and like making all these fun soups.
Yeah.
And like I try to make everything easy because I don't follow a recipe. So that's a downside is when people are like, how did you do that? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like you just have to go with it. And,
Yeah.
like my grandma taught me how to bake using a mug. It was like, you need 2 mugs of flour, you need 1 mug of sugar, you need this, that. And so it's like, you kind of just get to learn the consistency of things. And that I transferred into cooking, which obviously I'm not cooking the cheese, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't ever follow recipes really either.
Yeah.
Like with HelloFresh, even if it's like a teaspoon of salt, I'm like, this looks
Yeah,
like a
you're like,
teaspoon. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So do you have any specific advice for someone who wants to start a side hustle or a side gig while working full time?
I think just figure out what works and like in what capacity you can do it.
Mm.
Because I do know there's other girls, a lot of people that do this locally now. Like there's quite a few charcuterie girls, and every time one pops up, people are like, oh, did you see this? And I'm like, no, and like I think I have a different reaction than what people would think. I welcome it. I started a group chat on Instagram. I called it Cheese Girls. and I add all of them to the group chat. And if I see a deal, I post the deal and I say, go get this. Or like when I was at Winners the other day, they had actual like charcuterie cups for Christmas. I posted it in that group. I said, go get these, like, go do it. And like some of those girls, they started and they only do like 3 or 4 trays like once a month or something, but they're still doing it and they still like it when they do it. And when they have time to do it, that's when they sell them.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like you don't have to start something and then do it every single day, all day. You just do what you can until you get to the point where you can do that. So like I've integrated Gather and Graze like into my life. Like the other day, Bryn was playing and she was serving her friends Gather and Graze cookies. And I'm like, because I was giving sugar cookies with the logo on it with orders. And it's just one of those things that like, it's just kind of part of what we do now. And so I think just go for it in whatever way you can and make sure that you have some support. Like I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have my parents and Bob supporting me. Like I don't have to ask him for permission to be a dad. He just knows that if I'm going to do a wedding, he has the girls. And if there's a conflict, I usually know that my mom's in the backyard. But yeah,
you're right. It's so nice to have support.
It is. It's nice. Like, yeah, it's just nice to not have to like reach for it and just know that it's there. And then also not to take it for granted.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was kind of what I had for like the small town business advice at Gather and Graze. Or I did get questions from listeners, so I had to add a new part in here.
Okay.
Well, someone asked, how did you get so many followers?
Just posting, like just consistently posting. So, and I'm not gonna lie, like giveaways help and other people sharing helps, but there's certain days where I will post one reel, and then if I know that it's on the uptake, I will post it a couple times, because they say if you post 3 times a day, that's when you're going to get the most growth.
Know that.
But giving, like, content is hard. Like,
Content is really hard.
The one time I just set up my camera and I filmed Bryn making a lasagna, and had like 33,000 views.
Really?
And I'm like, that is not anything to do. I mean, there's cheese and lasagna, but like, and it was just cute. And I thought like, okay, this is funny. Let's do it. And it's just like, and that's just showing a side of our life where like, I try to get her involved in the kitchen as much as possible, because why not? And yeah, like, just be real. Don't post what you think looks perfect. Just post something and go with it and see what happens. And that's all I did, was just continually post.
Yeah. We also, like, I feel like as a society, we love looking at beautiful boards.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, and it's hard, because I know a lot of people say like, don't post the same thing over and over again. But like, I think like I kind of have to.
Yeah. What's the most expensive cheese? Like, what's the most expensive cheese you have bought?
The most expensive one I've bought is also my favorite, and it's the Chateau de Bourgogne. I think if I'm saying that right. It's a triple cream brie. The Milkmaid sells it, and it's fantastic. I was ordering it in by the wheel, but it's like a little sliver of it can cost like $18, and it's, you don't eat the rind on it. It's like a dippable brie, and it's just so good.
We were in Niagara Falls this weekend for a family get together, and someone made brie with chili peppers, honey, rosemary, thyme, and olive oil. And I said, this must be expensive brie. I was like, this is delicious.
Yes, so good.
Oh, someone asked, how do you decide where everything goes on the platter?
So when I'm doing the trays, like I put down, and I know it's going to sound so basic, but I put down the big stuff first. So if it's solid, like the salami rows or the brie or a boursin, like those things, I put them, and I know like if I put this in here, I can pile up this kind of cheese next to it, or the cucumbers next to this. But I try to place things with what they need to be eaten with, or what they would be best with. Like you always see the cucumber with the boursin, because those are really good together. And like, I know that some people are grossed out by cucumber touching the cheese, and that's one thing. I know that people don't order because they don't want their food touching, but I'm like, I can't order. I'm like, I can't really accommodate that. But if the crackers are on the board, they're the last thing that I put on, and I usually just pile them into the little space that I have left. But yeah, put the big things on first, and then if you have cheese that you're cutting up, I try to break it. It just gives it a little bit more of a dimension than a square cut. Yeah. So I'll slice it, but then I'll break it in half, so it's got that rough edge to it.
Yeah.
And then I always say, slice your cheese, don't put it on in whole pieces. Because if you're putting it out for friends, sometimes it's intimidating to walk up and not know how much to slice off. So like, when I put on that Bella Vitano, I have it sliced and then angled and like fanned out because you can grab from the big end, grab from the little end, whichever.
Without really, and I just clued in now. So when I make my own cheese boards, you're right. I wouldn't cut up the brie because I put my cheese knife in there.
Yes, yeah.
But then when I buy your board, I don't put cheese knives on there because you're right. You've made it very accessible.
Yeah. So it's just easier for people at a party to go. And especially if you have a drink in your one hand, you can just grab a couple things with the other and go. Yeah.
And it's safe to assume that not everyone has cheese knives.
Yes. So true. I mean, like sometimes I'll give like a wooden knife with it, which isn't a cheese knife, but it's biodegradable, eco-friendly. Yeah. So I do try to be eco-conscious with some stuff, which is why I do the wood boards, the real wood boards that are reusable too, and not like a single-use plastic.
Another question was, what should you put on it? Like, do you ever make kid-friendly boards? What would you put on a kid-friendly board?
Yeah, so even for like Bryn's preschool graduation, I did little like kids cups, and but I would go a little bit more old school basic with those and do like kid-friendly crackers that maybe don't have as much flavor, like a Ritz or a Toppable, or Bryn loves a rosemary cracker, so like I will throw those on there, but then just like medium marble, Vasa. Add in your grapes, your berries. Watermelon always seems to be a big hit.
Yeah.
And then something sweet, like a little cookie or something for them. Yeah.
And then I asked my husband before I started this, and he said, because Jack knows Bob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hockey, I think.
Yes.
But he said, what's Bob's favorite cheese?
Well, I think I already said, so he loves the Tickler, the Costello. Yeah, he loves that one. And then he also likes the Bella Vitano Merlot.
Okay.
So he was a big balsamic guy for a long time, but I finally got him converted over to the Merlot because it's just so good.
Yeah. I also have you ever tried the Isle of Man PC?
Yes.
I love that one too.
That one's good too. My new favorite one is the PC Red Fox.
Okay.
Right beside it.
I feel like, but it had I think we've tried it. It had little flecks of red in it.
Yes, yeah.
I prefer the Isle of Man, but we have fair one. Yeah. Okay, so those are my questions from the listeners. I have a ton of rapid fire questions.
Perfect.
Okay, so this might take a long time, but I was really when I do rapid fire, sometimes I struggle. I'm like, what am I going to ask?
Yeah.
But yours was very exciting.
Yeah.
And I think so. And we've talked for so long. I think we've answered a lot of them. But I'm still going to ask them. So would you rather do 50 mini grazes or a giant grazing table?
A giant grazing table.
Would you rather do a vegetarian tray or a dairy-free tray?
A vegetarian.
Okay.
Then I'm just cutting out the meat, but I can still use the good cheese.
Yeah. An all fruit tray or an all veggie tray?
All veggie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think the colors are just brighter.
Sure.
And well, I know that sounds funny, but like there's just more that you can do to spread it and keep it round. Whereas the fruit I find just tends to be more piles.
So would you rather eat fruit or veggies?
Oh, I'd rather just eat bread.
Oh, because I was going to say, because you took a very artistic answer on that one. Because I have seen your veggie trees. And
I'm the worst for eating fruit.
Oh, like not eating or eating too much?
Like I know I eat it, but I just like, I look at it in the fridge and I'm like, I guess I should eat some of that.
The raspberries were on sale last week. Basics. My kids are like, why are we eating so many raspberries?
They're cheap.
That's what I said. Like, because you don't eat enough fruit because it's too expensive. Would you rather make a taco board or a pizza board?
Oh, that's funny. A taco board probably. But we have the pizza oven. Like, man, just love the pizza oven. And
I'm obsessed with your pizza.
Yeah.
I still haven't bought one. When we got our tax return back, I was like, I'm buying one this year. And then I kept talking myself out of it.
Oh, yeah. You can borrow ours sometime. They're so easy. And it's just like the propane tank, or you can put wood chips in it to make it wood fire. But yeah, like we've done birthday parties where like we're hosting. I haven't like sold it, but we do like a Subway style pizza setup. So like make your own. And it's just been so fun.
Like the family reunion, that's what we had a slider bar. But I mean, if we had that pizza oven, we could have had a pizza bar.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you pick, taco or pizza?
Taco.
Oh, okay. But that was a trick.
Yeah.
A breakfast board or a dessert board?
Breakfast.
White wine or red wine?
White wine.
Prosciutto or salami?
It depends. I'm going prosciutto if I could have it with the brie, and the salami with anything else.
Boursin. I put here urban garlic or fig and balsamic. Well, maybe you have.
I love the fig and balsamic. Mm-hmm. It is like a surprising taste. Like, you know what I mean? You don't expect it to be so good, But then I also love the truffle one. The truffle one is so good now.
And
Like,
it only comes out at
yeah.
Christmas, right?
Yeah, well, so actually, I don't know if I just like pay attention to things that other people don't, but the limited edition thing is gone off of the box. So I'm like, oh, are you here to stay?
I obviously like the urban garlic, the classic.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's sold out. Everyone loves it.
I know it's
And I always like to switch it up.
yeah,
Do you prefer hard cheeses or soft cheeses?
hard cheeses.
I expected you to say soft like brie, but
Yeah, well, I think it just depends, but I would go to the hard side, I think. Yeah.
and I put Bella Vitano. Would you pick the Merlot, the Tennessee whiskey, or maybe one of the other ones? Balsamic.
So the Tennessee whiskey is really good. It's hard to find. There's a raspberry ale one that is actually my favorite, but I've only found it at the Foodland in Owen Sound.
I think I've seen the raspberry one because I look for Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find.
Yeah.
I get it from the cheese house here.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know this one. Would you rather have the pickles and olives or the fruit and nuts?
The fruit and nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you put pickles and
So
olives?
I did, but I found that they if you're putting it in the fridge, they flavor the crackers or they flavor some of the cheese. So if you have like a really nice like standard Canadian cheddar on there and it's close to the pickles and you're not eating it for like 5 hours, it'll pick up that taste. So I'll put them in when people ask for it, but I tend not to just because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I would never know that unless you came.
Yeah.
My listeners know that.
But see, and that's different too. Like if you're picking it up and you're going to go and eat it right away, tell me and I'll put them on there. No problem. Because I love like, I'll sit at home and I'll have pickles with just like medium cheese. And I'm like, this is the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My kids love olives. It's so funny. They like fruits and nuts too. But when someone's like, well, I don't know, what should I feed them? I'm like, do you like have olives?
Yeah.
Those.
Yeah.
Would you rather have your meat and cheese with baguettes or crackers?
Crackers.
Oh, really? I love baguettes.
See, I love a baguette, but it's hard because sometimes they get so chewy. Like,
and they can go like
yeah. But like, so I think I like the variation of the cracker.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I also would do a sandwich. It's like a French baguette with brie and like a jam and prosciutto.
Yeah.
Yeah, delicious.
Yeah. I wanted. So when we get together with our cousins, we always do like a competition.
Yeah.
And during COVID, we had like a trivia night, and I was like, let's do baguette toppers. It was
that's
it was
so
going to be
fun.
on Zoom, so no one could actually try everybody else. Yeah, could come up with what's most creative because I love baguettes so much. I was like, just put the best combination on a baguette.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't.
That's funny. So Bob actually makes a fantastic baguette, like crostini thing, and it's steak with arugula and then a melted boursin butter or whatever. And he cooks the steak, toasts them, puts it in, and then broils the. And man, they are so good.
That sounds
I'm like, can we make an extra steak just so that we can
because so I went to my friend's wedding and she got married at the Hacienda. So they have like the whatever, the craziest steakhouse in Kitchener is their catering.
Yes.
And so their appetizers were a potato chip with steak, those little cremini mushrooms, and then horseradish aioli.
Oh, I love horseradish.
And I think about that all the time. So we did do an appetizer.
Funny. It's like, what is your Roman Empire? And it's that appetizer you had at that wedding.
And the Hacienda is like it's a different thing now. They don't understand. And I still, how do I get that appetizer back?
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, do you watch Hell's Kitchen?
Sometimes.
So when we went to Vegas, we went to Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And we had like the typical, like the beef Wellington, whatever. But honestly, the star of the show was the dessert, and it was this sticky toffee pudding. And like we went with Bob's sisters and brother-in-law. And if we talk about it, like you think like, oh, it was the beef Wellington that was the best, or the lobster risotto. And like, don't get me wrong, fantastic. But that sticky toffee pudding.
Really?
Yeah. We still think about it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know that our dinner was tenderloin or something. Yeah. And I still am like, I don't know. We have for dinner, but that
it's so good.
And I went to Burger when we were in when we were in Vegas, because you gotta.
Yes, for sure.
I have a couple more accompaniments. Well, I was going to say, would you like a grainy mustard or like a honeycomb?
I love a grainy mustard,
Yeah.
but I like that with like a potent summer sausage.
Oh,
Like it's maybe that's like nostalgic from like growing up and having like
the
a
Hanover.
yeah.
That sounds like a Chesley thing.
So yeah, I don't know. I just like love that. But then again, like if I had a creamier cheese or like a cheddar, I would go honey. Like
Okay.
it's yeah.
Yeah. That's funny they said it because my parents live in Chesley now and my dad's from Desboro. And so when you said, I was like, that would be
Yeah,
a Chesley
it's funny.
Desboro thing. And jam or hummus?
Jam. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so those were all mine, unless you came up with one that you thought you could.
Oh man, no. I read through them and I'm like, oh, these look good.
Yeah, okay. So I think that's it. Is there anything I didn't ask, or is there something that you wanted to say?
I don't know. Is there anything that you like? I don't know. Is there things that you would like to see, like on Instagram or like me doing his boards, like anything that? Yeah,
That's a good question. I think your Instagram is one of my favorites. Like I already said, like I didn't know, I hadn't met you in real life.
Yeah.
I felt like I knew you.
Yeah.
You're very authentic on your Instagram. I love when you post like dinners.
yeah,
And I think you've done it a couple times, but like when you post like kid-friendly dinners.
yes, yeah.
I love that. Like last night, and I tried to make some, but they were like ham and cheese Christmas trees.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then
Are they with what is it? Crescent rolls or is it?
it was pizza. It was like the
Oh, nice.
Pillsbury
That's awesome.
pizza dough. They didn't look as pretty as I wanted. And then, but the boys, like, they kind of liked them. They liked
Yeah.
the ham and cheese, but stuff like that, like creative
Yeah.
kids.
Well, and that's the thing. And sometimes I feel like I'm just really lucky that Bryn is a good eater.
I was going to
So like sometimes I post things and they're like people are like, my kid would never eat that, and I'm like, I don't know. Like
no,
Bryn loves a steak. She loves salmon. She loves a burger. Like she's sitting there like, but then she also just loves pizza and like whatever. But if we make a salmon with like a honey dill like glaze,
Delicious.
she'll crush that with rice and broccoli, and she'll probably ask for more broccoli.
oh yeah.
So it's like it's hard because I'm like it's just what she wants. Like that kid would eat egg salad every day of her life if she could, but I'm like, you can't be the smelly kid
Yeah.
at school.
But yeah, I don't know, on your Instagram, that's nice that you asked me, because you're just trying to.
Well, it's funny because like I get a lot of people that send me like the trendy things. Like they'll send me like the charcuterie trees and like this, that, and whatever. And I think it's hard because like I love seeing the inspiration, and chances are I've seen it already. But
The algorithm.
yeah,
shown me.
I'm also not a content creator. Like it's a business, right? So I don't necessarily have the time to just like put together this video. Like I think people think it's a lot easier than it is
Oh, I
too. So
hard.
yeah, so it's like I'm not just going. Bob and I can't eat that much cheese.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna like create all these videos to post these crazy things that I'm not gonna sell.
Yeah.
And then I'm also like not gonna sell a 3-foot tall tree made out of like antipasto skewers and
Right.
whatever. Like it's just not. Yeah.
No, I think I really like when you do like the pairings.
Yeah.
I obviously love your boards, because even if I'm making my own board, I always still go to your pictures to see what I.
Yeah, and like totally do that. Like I should almost do like a step by step. Like this is
Yeah, like your little
Yeah.
course.
yeah.
That's a great idea. But yeah, so I really appreciate you coming. I thought
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I thought our conversation was really good. Our listeners are going to learn, like, don't put your pickles beside
Yeah.
your hard cheddars.
Yeah, I mean, you can totally do it, and like I love a dill cheese, so like it works. It's just one of those things that like I don't know that everybody likes it, and maybe I'm just in my own head about it. But
No. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, how can we find you aside from Instagram, because we mentioned it several times?
well, Instagram or Facebook. And then I'm like working towards getting a website going, but I like the way that I'm doing things right now because it gives me the ability to say no.
Right. Yeah. Like your form.
Yeah.
That you fill out.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, just to Facebook and Instagram right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like any upcoming events? Maybe.
I am doing my niece's first birthday.
Oh.
And actually tomorrow I'm doing 40 boxes for Mill Creek Chocolates for them to give to their staff as a like
Oh.
appreciation before the holidays.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.